One of the keywords I will repeat for me is this contextual intelligence and proactive intelligence. We really try to understand how many clicks, how many actions our users need to do to get to an outcome. And how with AI, we can reduce this. So you don't have to, maybe for SDRs, open 50 tabs each time you need to make a call, but also getting allo into your tools. Our vision and the way we distribute and we build our apps looks a lot like consumer apps.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of AI Without Borders. I'm thrilled to have Franco Pinto, CTO of the Mobile First Company, a startup that builds an integrated suite of mobile apps for small teams. They have raised more than 17 million from investors like Base10 and Lightspeed and serve more than 20,000 small and medium-sized businesses. But most importantly for this podcast, Franco is from Argentina. Franco, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me here.
And for those that are not as familiar, can you explain what the Mobile First Company offers and what the vision is?
So we are in a mission to replace legacy software with AI mobile-first apps. We've been seeing like these small businesses, small teams using old software that haven't been updated for maybe 5, 10 years with a really complex settings, complex pricing structure, really expensive software. Maybe just going into the telecom space, that are some of our main competitors in one of our apps that we will probably discuss later today. You have RingCentral, for example, right? RingCentral was founded 1999. So that gives you a bit of sight of how the incumbent players are there and have been there for long. And from nowhere, GPT appears. Small and medium businesses learn and start using for $20 a month the best UI, UX software they've used before, natural language, integrated to their apps, and they start challenging like, why my business software doesn't feel this way? Why my business software is not priced this way? So we are in a mission to build this type of software to replace category by category, solve these boring business problems that today maybe are costing 100 times more than ChatGPT for them, with consumer DNA, and with the idea of building it in a suite of 30, 40 apps, all connected together, but with their own brand. You can think like kind of an Atlassian style of suite. So yeah, since day one, that's our vision, and that's what we are executing day after day.
As you were sharing, you have a very exciting and broad vision. But I was reading that you decided to start building a phone system. What was the rationale behind that, finding that the right wedge or initial product to focus on? And what are some of the innovations that you did building that phone system?
Well, actually, we didn't start with a phone system. The story is that we started with Amoa. Amoa was a stock inventory app. That's the first app we developed with the founding team all together in a house in south of France, in Narbonne. Amoa was an inventory app. We found an opportunity in this segment, right, where stores, small business owners still used pen and paper to manage their stock, maybe using Excel. There were many distributed, like independent apps out there trying to serve them. They were not good enough. So we started developing it. That's today in the store. We have some users. It has a free version, and then you can pay if you need to use more volume. But it was not such a big opportunity for us. We didn't see it as a way to build something huge, to really rediscover or try to rebuild the category, you know? And from some of those users, especially one of them, we were discussing all their issues, and they came to us saying that they were paying a lot of money for ERCO at that time. They were thinking about going back to SIM cards because it was expensive, it was complex to use. And then it's where we started going deeper into the phone system category. At that time, also, voice AI was starting to appear in the AI ecosystem. So voice-to-voice agents were something new, state of the art, but were still super encouraging. And we were really hyped to start trying to use that technology to solve this issue from scratch. So that's why and how we moved from the inventory space to the phone system space. And we ended up Not at first, but after some iterations, rebuilding the phone system itself, adding AI from day one.
And one of the things that we were speaking last week, earlier this week, was about the importance of the integrations that you build. And I find that integrations that are often underrated. Like it's an underrated engineering challenge that people don't take into account, but it's really the base to building a scalable, reliable application. What are some of the challenges that you encounter, or some of the things that you build as you build that suite of integrations over time?
So yeah, integrations were key to us. We didn't start with them. We didn't start focusing on them. But then we learned and understood that our users, those businesses, already had some workflows that they applied. So getting onboarded into a new app that they had to relearn what they were doing was too much of a high barrier of entry, entry barrier. So then we started trying to understand and going deeper into how they were making calls, how these SDRs, maybe before a call, they were opening like 50 tabs, opening LinkedIn, opening the webpage of the companies, opening their CRM, and making calls at the same time. How is it possible? So we thought, right? How is it possible for us to try to streamline all this process in an easy way since day one? So that's how we got to the integrations track, trying to connect that to the onboarding. So since day one, we knew who were your customers, which were their problems, and who was calling you, who you needed to call, what you needed to do before a call, during a call, after a call. And we started creating this integration release machine in which each week we are releasing maybe 2 or 3 integrations. The best way we found to do that is to partner with kind of an integration middleware. There are many out there, but I really encourage other technical founders and devs uh, to look for these tools. Not try to build each one of those integrations one by one. At least when we are trying to get a PMF and you're trying to build like your first iteration of product, this really help us to move quickly into the integration space and then think about the value proposition rather than the integration complexity itself. So that's one of the key aspects that help us like move really fast on the integrations track and then make it really easy since day one from the onboarding, Need to start with all those contexts. Your first experience need to be world class, and the way of doing that and the way of gathering context about how they currently work and not trying to rebuild their flows is to be integrating since day one.
And the other part that I find exciting and challenging is that you serve a very wide variety of businesses. So it can go from a repair shop to a restaurant to a co-working space, especially from an AI standpoint or the AI features. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a CTO from serving such a horizontal base of users? I would understand that maybe 90% of the workflows are fairly the same across them, but then there is where you start to having very unique things about every vertical, even as you think about each edge case. So I'm curious about that journey that you face on the engineering side as you embed AI features for a horizontal base of users.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like doing business is talking to people, scheduling time with them, trying to sell your service, your product, and then asking for money. So we try to keep it high level. We try to keep it simple. And I think the previous topic is really related to that because the way or the tools they use tell us even more about how they work than their industry itself. Specific CRM, specific way of selling, it's maybe connected and maybe related to many industries that have not a lot in common from a product perspective, but yes, from a sales perspective and from a communications perspective. So integrations were a big leverage here, and learning about which tools they are currently using was great for us to think about experience first. Then, of course, there are some complexities, mostly when you think about onboarding. And I will talk a lot about this first-time experience and onboarding because our vision and the way we distribute and we build our apps looks a lot like consumer apps. We have this kind of B2C approach on distribution. And we need and we want our apps to grow and to be acquired like a B2C app, like a consumer app. So it needs to be self-serve. It needs to be easy. It needs to be plug and play. So connecting your current tools, understanding your current tools is a great way to start. You have obviously some complexities, mostly, for example, in the voice AI, like AI receptionist, when you need to tailor a specific agent to answer for them when they are not available. There is where it really gets deep into their specific use case, their business knowledge. So there is a we've been discussing a lot with designers, with the design team, with the product team and engineering team to try to find which are the right templates depending on your industry that will help you have a solid base in which you only need to focus on your exceptions or the particularities about your business. One of the easy ways that you have to do that is go and scrap their website, for example. You want to know about how they do business. You want to enrich the AI receptionists or even their business knowledge to then have better insights on the after call processing. You go and check their website. You go and check their CRM, how they communicate. And then there is this broader idea of, I think that it's separated in two in terms of how AI is transforming experiences for several different businesses. And it's always a fight between this consolidation of platforms, this like verticalized, all-in-one, really big platforms, mostly enterprise side, right? That start layering AI on top of their experience and trying to create this all-in-one app that serves everyone. But then there is this other trend about hyper-specialized solutions, about dynamic UI and dynamic experiences that adapts to each one of their cases in the right way. And I think we are a lot more towards this second version of AI in the future. We really try to think high level in terms of workflow, but then focus on dynamically adjusting our interfaces, our UI on their needs and letting them personalize that. Today, everything is about data, everything is about context, and LLMs really help you to create this seamless interface to your context that can be tailored to your use case. It's like how they interact with ChatGPT today. Like ChatGPT is not built for a restaurant, it's not built for an electrician. Still, I can assure there are plenty of users in different industries that make use of them and from their workflows that you can build. So that's kind of the idea we're following.
No, and I find that topic of dynamics UI fascinating. I've been researching and speaking about generative UI for some time, but still feels like a wave that's very early. I've seen two fronts, and the one that I've seen most companies use is maybe, yes, use AI to generate some templates of variations of UIs, and then as your user interacts, it selects between maybe 3 templates, versus maybe the original promise, which some people thought was going to happen, that it was like really generative UI on the go live, like not from templates. Where are you finding to be the right balance in that front, and also some of the challenges to fitting the right context so that it generates kind of the right UI also within like where the user is in a state of the application?
We are at an early stage on this topic, and I think there is still a lot of exploration around that. I'm not sure, like for example, prompt-based interface are the future. I think with multimodality, with, as you say, dynamic generative UI, at the end, if I can have this proactive intelligence and be ahead of what you will need before you asking it, you can give that real wow effect and you can save them time. So we are exploring a lot. We have been trying and we are working today with chat interfaces that, depending on the context and your actions in the app, are automatically updated to suggest you actions to do based on what you're doing. Let's say I enter a conversation that I had with a client and the last message I got was from them and I still need to reply. So instead of having to type, hey, draft me a follow-up SMS for them, automatically get this suggestion in my interface saying, hey, do you want to draft an SMS? Or even start drafting it for you. So you only have to do one click and click in send. So this contextual intelligence is adapting to prevent as much as possible, not only like manual interactions to the UI, but also preventing them to having to prompt and suggest an action for them in a proactive way are the first steps we are taking on that. And I also see other players and it's also great to see how, for example, I don't know, in ChatGPT itself, they are starting to integrate, for example, with Shopify. I've seen, so you can kind of create and replicate your marketplace directly on the chat. So this is clearly a business, like an ecosystem trend. that we are following, and we are bringing our own ideas, also inspired by other great software.
Yeah, no, it's an early trend, but it's going to be exciting, I think, in the next couple of years. And the other thing you mentioned earlier is the use of voice AI. What are you finding it's better today? Like we've seen the rise of speech-to-speech models, or are you still finding today it's better to use more of the speech-to-text, text-to-speech, and why? And maybe
So we started really early getting into voice AI, was still a new technology, was not being used in phone systems. I think we are one of the first ones that integrated AI receptionist and voice-to-voice agent to a phone system itself. So at that moment, we didn't have a lot of options. The real-time interface of OpenAI didn't exist yet. Like voice-to-voice was not a thing. You had players like Vapi that were starting. You had players like Bland that we tried at that time, kind of trying to wrap all the complexity of the speech-to-text, then the model inference, and then the result to speech, right? Then it was not flexible enough. We started feeling we were too coupled to their decisions. We were too coupled to what was happening behind the scenes. And in order to build a robust experience and to iterate, we found that this new idea of chaining frameworks that lets you decide, debug, be flexible on which model and which implementations you want for each part of the chain were a game changer for us. You have great examples of that. You have Lightspeed that they serve not only Claude, but they also have this open source framework that is great to iterate and to try and build your own voice-to-voice agent in some minutes. You have Vapi more on the Claude side, on the SaaS, that they are doing an amazing job also on that. But there is something interesting on that. And this same question about the future, I was lucky enough to talk with Lightspeed CEO when he was in San Francisco 1 month ago, and I got his point of view, and it was super interesting. Like, humans don't communicate transcribing in the middle. Like, you don't get the sound of the voice of the other, you transcribe, you process that, and then you move back to the voice to output the signal. And voice-to-voice quality won't get to the same level unless the inference happens voice-to-voice. Like, there is no way you can be close to trying to transcribe the loudness, the emotions, the pauses between words, but you will never get the real context about how people are talking. And that's why it's pretty clear for me, and after some discussions with crazy good voice AI leaders like the Lightspeed CEO, that the ultimate conversational AI interface in the long term, I think, will be voice to voice. Today, we are still on this chained implementation, more from an engineering perspective, because it let us choose the right model when we need something maybe faster in terms of latency. We manage like a big context case, and models like Gemini Flash are really good for those use cases. If you need to do some tool invoking in the middle, also if you need like razor sharp and really precise answer, you can go with Claude models, and this is something you can adapt per use case, which is clearly a lot more difficult or even impossible to do in voice-to-voice models. And on the same like debugging, failover, like reliability perspective, you can also fall back to other solutions if the first one, the provider, is not working, which in voice-to-voice today will be a lot more difficult also, or even not possible. So today, in terms of how the technology, the state of the technology and the engineering challenge, we opt for flexibility and for the chain implementation, but I'm pretty sure voice-to-voice will win at the end.
And are you finding that today latency for voice AI is still a challenge, or do you, based on your experience, think that part of the challenge of voice AI is mostly solved at this stage?
So it's still a challenge. I think it got a lot better, mostly when you are able to host the models and to, at the end, it's kind of, the latency is kind of a classic engineering problem. It's not directly related to voice AI. So if you are able to host and deploy it in a same VPC, your infrastructure is all together, you can communicate the parts in the right way, you can define the right timeouts or the right thresholds in terms of tool invocation, API requests during a call. Latency is usually not a problem. Even people, I feel, are a bit more patient now when they know they are talking with AI. I find the main issue here It's more about like the turn taking, and latency sometimes gets you into this domino effect in which there is a bit of latency. So you talk again and the agent starts answering, but they stop because you're interrupting them again. And it's really hard to get back into the natural conversation flow. And even you go to ChatGPT voice agent today, and if you have people talking behind you, they still struggle with interruptions. It happened to me like 2 days ago, and I thought it was a lot better at this time. But turn taking interruptions are still a serious problem. Like quality and background noise is still difficult to manage. But overall, I also see people and the market itself, our users and the clients of our users, more open to talk with AI, more used to it, and that helps in terms of efficiency, in terms of acceptance of a new technology like this.
And related to that acceptance point, are there any things that from a UX or UI standpoint you're doing to make the user feel more comfortable with voice AI?
Yeah, there is one that is, I found it a bit funny when a user brought up to us, but they were expecting us to add like background office noise just during a call, not even during a post, just so it felt a bit more natural. At that point, it was like, why they are asking this? But then it kind of made sense, and we saw other players starting to implement the same. Maybe with a toggle, you could start playing background office noise or some people talking behind. So it felt like it was a real call center. This is a really crazy strategy in terms of why you have to add this human layer to an AI that doesn't need it. It's just because of psychology, right? And the acceptance of, hey, I'm talking with an AI, but it feels more natural, even if I know it. And then what has been super important to us is the voice quality and the accent. We started mobile first from France. We still have a huge part of our revenue coming from Europe. And at that point, even like when we started working with voice AI, English was a lot more advanced than French. So we struggled a lot in finding the right French voices, the right French accents, which is not the same for France than for Canada, for example. And that really makes a difference. Like if someone is calling and then the agent sounds like a foreigner that doesn't know how to talk in terms of accent, and even in tone, in conversation tone, it makes a huge difference. So voice quality and understanding the geography and where are you deploying the solution is super important. Working close to your users to choose these voices. And we found 11 labs to be far ahead of the competition in terms of voice quality. And I'm really surprised by their business model. I love how they've been working since the beginning into this voice inventory. Like they pay back and they collaborate with people recording. And I don't know, I just found the business model amazing in terms of what they needed to build these voices and how to give back to the ones that were contributing to that. But yeah, finding the right accent, building the prompt for the right tone, depending on the type of call. Is it formal? Is it not formal? Is it what the business is expecting? And then, of course, like prompting. If the AI is giving stupid responses, the experience will be shit. So prompting is super important, trying to work close, iterate a lot, and add observability mostly on the outcomes for your calls. It's great. There are a lot of super cool startups now that are just focusing on voice evals that I also feel it's a good step ahead in terms of how to iterate and get these agents to be better and better.
And the other feature that I was looking that you have is that you record conversations and then you have the AI send or craft a follow up, and this is more of a written follow up. I have used several platforms for different use cases that in theory promise to help you draft those follow ups, but they tend to be okay. Like it's something that I end up editing so much that I prefer to do myself. How are you finding that challenge on areas writing where there is some personal preference on how you write on one end?
That's probably one of the features we iterated the most. That's the core of all the context you can gather from conversations at the end. We build a phone system to be able to record them and to build this business and data platform for streamlining their communications. I think there are two main topics to consider there. First of all is summarization quality. Have the best summarized output of a conversation to be able to draft a great follow-up. And that comes from the transcript. The transcript is everything. Being able to get the recording and have a qualitative transcript is the first step of all the chains all the chain that needs to happen to have a great follow-up. For getting a great transcript, you first start with diarization. You need to determine who is talking and who is saying what. And that seems trivial, but it was not trivial at the beginning, and sometimes it's not. As we control the phone system, we control the channels of communication, and we can segregate easily. Then you need to process that and make sure you're always nailing who is saying what. And then it's about the model evolution. When we started a bit more than 1 year ago, iterating over transcription, we were using models that were closer to 15% word error rate, which is more than humans do. And that has an impact on the quality of the transcripts. Today, and after many iterations, we are approaching less than 5%, sometimes less than 4%. That is even sometimes better than humans can get. And that makes a difference. That makes a difference. And it's also important to consider, as much as for the output voice, the transcript quality depending on the languages. It's not the same to process with Digram Nova 2 French than maybe German. And we really iterate into trying to find which one is the best model for each one of the languages. And then you have to overcome some complexities, like people changing language in the middle, some calls that start in English, but then, but you are French, so let's speak in French then. And then the summary was half complete and half empty. Then in terms of summarization, the other tip I could give, and something that helps us, is we started injecting like all our business knowledge each time we need to summarize a call. And for shorter calls or for calls that didn't have much context or value, this was really prone to hallucinations. When you give too much context that is not needed for achieving a specific task, models are not super good. So trying to keep each one of the conversations and each one of these summarization prompts as lean as possible, just trying to extract from this specific call, if you know who called, what's the name, what's maybe the company, and you just focus on the actions, the potential next steps, and the context of the conversation. That's enough to have a piece of information that then you can use to have a more complex pipeline, agentic pipeline to get to follow-ups and actions. And then it's about the tone. One of the main, I think, challenges that I face myself also is like when this software drafts a follow-up SMS, the tone is bad. It feels robotic. And that's because they don't know how you speak. And even if you sign up to Gemini, you sign up to ChatGPT from scratch, you try to draft a follow-up SMS, they will not do it like you. That's why AI products in general mostly the ones that use memory and that holds context, gets better and better over time as you use them. So using all the call information, knowing how you talk to your customers, and building this tone profile has helped a lot in terms of understanding, okay, you need to draft a follow-up SMS. This is how this user is talking. This is the profile that we have built from them based on their communication. And then on top of that, I'm bringing back the onboarding topic. There is a challenge from the first time experience that we want to make it great. We don't want the first time you end the call to try to draft a follow-up SMS, a follow-up email, and it not to be as good as you expected. So we got great inspiration there for Shortwave. I don't know if you try the tool. It's an AI email client. Essentially,
we are actually investors.
That's great. So I think Shortwave is a great tool, and they connect directly to Gmail. It's like a really plug and play, and they from day one know all your communications, know how you talk, know how you answer to emails, know how you sell, know how you challenge reimbursements. So trying to bring these ideas to Allo is also something we are exploring. And this one-click integration to previous communications, and probably email, is a great way to start. Gives you this context you need that you still don't have in Allo, but we can gather from your previous communications, either from the CRM, maybe from your email. But everything, in my opinion, for tone is about previous context and knowing our users even before they start using our platform.
Yeah, no, I agree. Context and capturing the right intent is the key. The other thing I was reading from, I think, the round announcement was one of the investors was highlighting a lot how the mobile first company did an amazing job in integrating a smooth way for the people to interact with the workflows and different AI capabilities. So beyond just the AI and the models themselves, like the UX, UI, the way you embed it matters a lot. What are some of the things that you think are helping the mobile first company create that magical, smooth experience for the user from a more design standpoint?
So I think it's related to the last topic we discussed. Trying to getting inspired a lot by other tools that are not directly related to calls, like shortwave, but are related to communications was a great leverage. One of the keywords I will repeat for me is this contextual intelligent and proactive intelligence. We really try to understand how many clicks, how many actions our users need to do to get to an outcome, and how with AI we can reduce this. So this means not only bringing your tools to Allo and making Allo the middleware, the interface to other tools, so you don't have to, as I said before, maybe for SDRs, open 50 tabs each time you need to make a call, but also getting Allo into your tools. This has been an engineering challenge, and it has been demanding because you need to build a multi-platform software. You need to be available not only for mobile. We are mobile first company, and we are not mobile only. So we developed Allo for Windows, we developed Allo for macOS and for web, and we even integrated Allo as a dialer, so you can use it directly from your CRMs. So we try to make Allo be part of each one of your workflows, making sure you can do most of your actions through our platform. But if you cannot do that, you can use Allo from your other platforms, right? And there are many iterations, and the ecosystem itself, it's helping a lot in terms of tools we can use. MCP is a hyped word, but it's something that is pretty helpful for us. If you think about maybe not the product itself, just the support, we are iterating a lot, and we are trying to get value from AI tools directly, maybe on our support chat. So our users, through our support chat, are able to manage their subscriptions, to gather information about their plan, to even action it inside Allo. Eventually, maybe Allo will be also an MCP server itself. You will be able to use it from other tools, or Allo will become your main point of contacts with other workflows and other work tools that you use. But it still stands and lands on simplicity, on knowing and iterating really close with our users about the tools they use today, making them available through Allo.
And switching gears to the talent point, so as you've been sharing during the conversation, the mobile first company, it's a very global company, started in Paris. You're in Argentina. You're now entering very heavily the US market, but you make the decision to have the tech hub in Argentina. Juan, can you share more about that decision to make the tech hub in Argentina, and to how are you finding the AI talent in the region?
For sure. It was not a decision we took at the beginning. Actually, it started probably with me joining a French company since the beginning. And funny enough, I was asked to relocate when I started with them. And during the first month, what we agreed is I will go with you. I will work for 1 month with you in the office. And then if I'm good enough, you will let me come back and try to build from here. We will find a way to collaborate. I love traveling. I love our Paris and now the Miami office, but I'm still sure Argentina is the right place to build our tech hub. After that, it went well. We started collaborating. We started building with the time difference. And I hired two of my best friends that I knew they were super good. And really quickly, they became top performers in the company. So it was easy to defend the idea that we had strong talent here in Argentina, and that this remote first, but also like distributed hub approach worked for mobile first. Then the decision came pretty naturally. Our focus, and mostly our market focus, changed from just Europe and really refocus on North America. We know if we want to build something huge, we need to win the US. We want to win in Canada. So there was a solid decision there. Jeremy, which is the CEO, also now is living in Miami since I think June, so some months ago. So the time difference was also an advantage. Building a team in Argentina, in Latin America, and working with US is not something new. It's something that US and American companies have been leveraging since long now. So first of all, it's not a cost problem. We are not hiring in Argentina because it's necessarily cheaper. I think there are really strong engineers. There is a strong sense of ownership and resilience. I think Argentinians, but mostly Latin American people, have a non-complaining culture. that I think is more difficult to find abroad and mostly in Europe. We have really young funders in AI, and now you can see it in the Twitter, for example, Twitter community, that it has been crazy for the last 2 months after the fundraising. For me personally, meeting all these founders, really young people that are really hungry to compete and to show that from here we can build amazing products that and show them off outside, traveling to San Francisco to say, hey, we are Argentina, we build this, and we are really competing. And the AI community is evolving a lot. I got also the chance to meet and to participate with an LLM community that is called LLM Native some weeks ago, which reassured me that a lot of conversations, a lot of new papers that were being read weekly by them were happening in an Argentinian LLM community, even before they were happening in the regular forums, US, European. So it was clear from a time zone perspective, from our own experience working and hiring here in Argentina, and the great collaboration we were able to build between the French team and the Argentinian team. We have the French team today drinking mate also. So there you see how we are really contagious in terms of our culture and this sense of winning and winning abroad.
I really love that decision, and especially the rationale that it's not really about cost. It's about having great people. And to finish the conversation, we'd love to do a quick fire round. So 2 quick questions, and you give me your quick answer. What's the
For
trend
sure.
in AI that excites you the most coming into 2026?
I'm really, really enthusiastic about multimodal AI. I think the latest voice, but mostly like video and image models are crazy good. So it's really encouraging in terms of how experiences, how UI, how UX can change when AI can develop such crazy good outputs that now are not only text, then now are not only voice, but are also great like cinematic quality videos. We started with Bland at that time. That was, in order to build a voice AI agent, you have to create a diagram chart and you have to think about how each part of the conversation should go. So you give the right answer depending on what the callers were saying. And now with just a prompt, you get a movie. So multimodality and the new models are crazy, and I'm really looking forward to how this will impact design and interfaces on 2026.
And what is your most contrarian take about the AI space? Maybe something that you read on the news or Twitter that you think this is completely wrong, or I think completely opposite to what everyone's saying.
Maybe I have to say that it's being said a lot that AI will not replace our jobs. I do things like most of mediocre engineers will lose their jobs with AI. Like, it is absolutely clear that with a smaller team, you can compete with incumbents and big companies that have hundreds of engineers. So the bar is being raised a lot. And the future great engineer, and I'm talking about the tech space because it's what I know. I don't want to get into other industries, but the future engineer is not someone just that writes codes. It's a product thinker, right? It's someone that orchestrates product, data, design, taste at a higher level of abstraction. So I really think AI will change how technology works, how technology teams are built, and people that are not apt to the challenge will probably struggle.
Yeah, no, I agree. AI amplifies a lot of the curious people and more complete 360 skills than ever before. But no, with that note, Franco, thank you so much. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, Daniel. It was great. Super happy to have participated. Great to be here.